Oh, hi there. Good morning. We're here again. I'm Joe Bautista, and I'd like to add up to the last discussion about fats and oils. I think I forgot a very important aspect of the understanding of fats and oils, and it's that I was not able to discuss with you, probably because of the happy memories that come rushing back to me whenever I remember the things that I was doing when I was a kid. Especially that I told you about the way we augmented our baon for school, and that is by selling pandesal on the streets early in the morning. And I think I said in that video that there is a very important role for fats and oils in our diet, particularly in the diet of in the low carb diets and intermittent fasting regimen. And I said in that video that the next topic, which is this topic, I will be talking about some other hormones that are very important to understand, and that which contributes to the overall understanding of the principles behind the low carb diets and intermittent fasting regimen. And I'm referring to first the hormone leptins or leptin, and then a discussion on the fatty acids, ALA or alpha linolenic acid, I should say, and the importance of two other essential fatty acids, the EPA. Well, I try to remember how it is said. So, icosapentaenoic acid or EPA, and DHA is another fatty acid of the enoic family. Anyway, before I go into the discussion of this, I think I have to go back, and I must go back because I did not give you a very important detail of the understanding of fats and oils. And I guess I was carried away by the reminiscence of my childhood. But let's go back a little bit into the important items that I missed. And in the last episode, I was talking about the structure of chemicals, particularly fats or fatty acids, and I referred to a certain structure which is called cis, which is the normal structure. And if you remember what I said in that video, I said that, for example, oleic acid, the formula is a cis-type formula or chemical structure, and that the bonds which differ or differentiate cis from trans is basically reversal of the positioning of the hydrogen ions. In the cis oleic acid, for example, that I showed you, the bonding of hydrogen ions to that double bond occurs on the same side, and that in trans, the oleic acid basically assumes a different structure and, of course, a different mode of action and function. And that the trans form of oleic acid, if that is a proper term, is called aladic acid. And I guess I missed out on how the transformation happens. And it is this. You may be choosing the healthy oils that are supposed to be helping you in carrying out diet regimens that more or less keep you healthy and live normal lives. And this is what I missed. So, I said that you should be careful in the choice of oils, particularly in the daily usage in your diets, because you can turn good oils to bad. And how is that? For example, olive oil is generally a good oil. So, olive oil, represented by oleic acid, is, of course, in its cis structure, but the things that you need to consider are this. First is, of course, the type of fatty acid or oil. Second is the process by which you prepare these oils in your diet. And this is the catch. There are properties of oils and fats that basically are changed even by simple heating. So that in the consideration of this, you may just say that, for example, olive oil is a good oil if you maintain the cis structure. And that is, for example, extra virgin olive oil is never recommended to be used for cooking. Why? Because the olive oil or olive oil has a very low smoking point. And what is a smoking point? Well, you can test that in your frying pan. You heat the pan, you add some oil until it smokes, and that temperature that will now make that oil smoke or elicit smoke is what you call the smoking point. So why is the smoking point of oils very important? Well, it is simply this. You have a cis form of the fatty acid or fat or oil. You transform it into the trans structure of that same oil by heating. So the moment it reaches the smoking point, there is some change that occurs in the structure of that fatty acid or oil, and from cis, like in olive oil, it now turns into a trans fatty acid. And well, I will not be repeating what I said in the last video, because in the last video I said that now what we consider as bad fats are basically the trans fats. So, take note of that. If you have a good oil, you should use it to the point which is below the smoking point, so that the structure remains and that it is not transformed into the trans configuration of that fatty acid. Now, they say that although coconut oil is a saturated fat or saturated oil, the advantage of coconut oil over olive oil is this: it has a higher smoking point, so that you can afford to heat the oil at higher temperatures and that the cis structure remains. But of course, when you reach that point, the smoking point, then that's the time that this good oil, which is coconut oil, will then have changes in its structure, leading to the structure being transformed into the trans configuration. So you may be exercising good judgment on the use of good oils, but when you use them in the kitchen, then that's the time that the transformation begins. So I think at this point, to understand it better, you just maintain the cis structure and prevent any processing step that will transform the cis into the trans structure of the fatty acid. And that is very important. That's why I said, I guess, in the last video or the other video, that in the low carb diet, what you cannot do to your food is definitely to deep fry. Now, deep frying is one example of transforming the cis structure into the trans. So even if you use a good oil in the beginning, like again coconut oil, you deep fry some food in it, but the heat continues in deep frying until the smoking point is reached, and that oil now turns bad because basically the cis structure of the formula is now transformed into the trans. That's why you end up with a trans fat, and that is bad. Of course, it is bad. It is being recognized now that trans fats are actually the culprits in the causation of heart diseases or cardiovascular diseases. So, as much as possible, healthy oils, when used in the diet, should be used in the beginning as raw oil, and I think I said that. When you use these oils, good oils, in the raw form, like you add extra virgin olive oil to your salad of, let's say, arugula, tomatoes, and maybe some form of cheese, then you get the maximum benefit from that good oil. Now, never ever use olive oil, or better still, never use extra virgin olive oil for your cooking, because then, because of the low smoking point, you just transform that good oil into bad oil or bad fat, which assumes the trans configuration. So I think that is very important. So if you still insist on frying foods, I guess you have to choose the best oils that have the highest smoking points. So what I'm saying is, there are oils that have higher smoking points over olive oil or even coconut oil, and those are the good oils that you use in deep frying. But then, of course, because of the easy danger that is achieved when that oil reaches the smoking point and the structure begins to change, then you do not get a food prepared in a good oil, but rather you have a type of food that is prepared in a bad oil or bad fat. And the worst that can happen happens, especially in fast food restaurants and some other specialty restaurants, or even the small carinderias that you have on the streets. And what is that? Most of their preparations are deep fried. Okay, so it's deep fried. But then they repeat, or they recycle these frying oils, so that the further transformation of whatever good oil is left is readily now transformed fully into a trans type or structure of that oil. So again, I would understand fast foods to be recycling oils, because more or less they cost a lot, you know. Aside from the fact that you enjoy your, for example, potato chips, Kids are now fond of potato chips they get from the fast food outlets, not knowing that they are actually taking in trans fats. Why? Because I don't know the practice in fast foods if they change the oil every day, or that probably the next day they still use the same oil to fry the same food like potato chips. So I guess if you want to help your kids grow normally and healthily, take them away from these deep fried foods so that they don't get the trans fats that are bad for your health. And I guess that should ensure us that the future generation of our people are healthy in mind, body, and I don't know if there are still more to add to that. So that is the important thing that I need to tell you, and I can't wait before I discuss the other items in my list. So just to recap, here it is. So the structure of fatty acids assumes two forms. One is cis form and the other is trans. Now, good oils normally would belong to that cis structural formula, and the bad oils belong to the trans structure of the formula of that fatty acid or oil. And I guess that should be a basic information that low carb dieters need to understand. And so, well, just to be safe in the low carb diet intermittent fasting regime, well, deep frying is not allowed. Well, just for the sake of being on the safe side. Well, so probably you will ask me, and what about the other cooking methods like sautéing? Well, of course, especially for Chinese food, and I have no ill intentions about saying this, but just stating the fact that if you look at the way Chinese food is prepared, they have a very thin wok and a very strong flame. Okay? And of course, the cooking time is very short because they employ a lot of techniques, like you have a very hot wok and they place oil into that wok, and you know what happens. That high temperature of the wok will then bring that oil into the smoking point of that oil, so that, well, the oil is transformed into its trans structure. So there's a danger. Now, you may say that, well, anyway, Chinese food is prepared so fast that probably the smoking point will not be reached. But mind you, I know how to cook. And the best Chinese food that you can have is that type of food that is used or that is made using the technique adopted by the Chinese chefs. And that is a very hot wok, to the point that because of the thin metal layer of the wok, you can even see the changes from a dark metal wok to almost red hot. And you can just imagine how high the temperature is. So, one thing more that I see among Chinese chefs is this. So, they have a canister of oil which is basically used. If they quickly deep fry something, they just take a ladle full of that oil, reused oil, into the hot, very hot wok, and then fry whatever there is briefly in that oil. And then you can see that, for example, if you are fond of eating some butter covered meats, like in most cases like sweet and sour fish or sweet and sour pork, well, that's the way that the meat or the fish is prepared before the final cooking with vegetables and the sauce. So again, be very careful of that. Of course, the common notion before is that Chinese food is not really good for you because of the high content of starches. Oftentimes you see very thick sauces in Chinese food, and that's simply because they either add cornstarch or potato starch to thicken it up. And again, for the low carb dieter, starches like this are not good for your diet. One thing more, or probably the addition of these starches to thicken the gravy of these foods is, I should say, excusable. But what is not excusable is the reuse of oils that are heated to very high temperatures, and that the cis structure is gone, and what you get is basically a trans fat. So that's what I wasn't able to discuss in the past video. Anyway, so how do you use good oils? Well, that's a good question. First is the consideration that you can use them as is, meaning you just pour it on your salads. In fact, if you look at the Italian way, you know, whether they eat meats, they eat pasta, of course pasta is carbs, even on some cheeses and some fruits like figs, they add that extra virgin olive oil, and they say it's for flavor. Of course, if you are fond of quesong puti or even mozzarella, well, what is the best way to eat it? It's not in pizza, of course. Rather, you just slice the mozzarella, add some tomatoes, and add basil, and you pour in extra virgin olive oil, and voila. That's very good for your health. Why? Because the extra virgin oil is not heated at all, and you get the maximum benefits from that extra virgin olive oil. And so that is what I wanted to say about the fats and oils video. I guess I haven't missed anything important for your consideration. So I guess that leaves out the two other topics that I promised to discuss, and we begin with leptins. So leptins, I think in the past video I told you that what I know of leptins are basically the effects of leptins on reproduction, and I was right. Well, I should be. I'm a theriogenologist, by the way. Anyway, the other functions of leptin I certainly do not know, so I made some searching of literature, and I was shocked, because now the information about leptins is humongous. There's a lot more to know about the role of leptins in life. And it's not just limited to reproduction, although that is a very significant effect of leptin on the body. And now we begin to see, and this explains why I was interested in the statement of Dr. Lustig about leptin and leptin resistance. So, in the past video, I talked about insulin resistance. Now, there is such a thing as leptin resistance. And to understand it better, we have to discuss the roles of leptin. Now, we start by defining what is leptin. Leptin is basically a hormone that is released by the fat cells in your body, the adipocytes. Okay? And where are these adipocytes found? Well, it's on your subcutaneous fat, in your joints, in your visceral fat. Now we see an important connection to the usage of fat in the viscera or inside your abdominal cavity. So, leptins are basically secreted by the fat cells or adipocytes, and the hormone leptin is secreted in a variety of situations. Of course, in the last video I said what I understand about leptins is that it has or it plays an important role in reproduction, and that it is basically mediated by the neuropeptide Y neurons in the brain, and that it stimulates the hypothalamus to release a hormone called gonadotropin releasing hormone, which acts on the anterior pituitary gland and is responsible for that response by the anterior pituitary gland secreting out the reproductive hormones, which are, of course, the follicle stimulating hormone, the luteinizing hormone, and some other hormones that are needed to support reproduction. So that is the role of GnRH. And of course, GnRH will have its own pathway. There are positive and negative responses to GnRH depending on the availability and abundance of the follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone in the bloodstream. So there are positive and negative feedbacks, but the positive and negative feedbacks or pathways are very important in the regulation of the secretion of GnRH. And since somehow I can inject in some of the principles of reproduction as far as GnRH and backtracking leptins is concerned, well, we first mentioned the many functions of leptin. Okay? So again, leptin is secreted by the adipocytes or fat cells, and most of these adipocytes that secrete leptin are coming from visceral fat. Physiologically, if you lose these layers of fat, because it is only from these fat stores, from the fat cells or adipocytes, where leptin can come and be secreted into the system. So that's how important leptin is. Now, what else can we mention about the function of leptins? It also has some effect on the ability of, let's say, a young or juvenile individual to grow and develop its ability to see. So it is mediated by the factors and cofactors associated with the development of sight. And if you take a look at the common regimens that are employed now, probably you would be talking of, let's say, vitamin E, vitamin A, And just to tell you the background about these vitamins, they are the so-called fat-soluble vitamins. So, if they are soluble in fat, then it is only logical to say that, well, you need fats. You need fats, definitely. And of course, if you have fats in your body, it only means that there will be a normal and assured secretion of leptins, which then in turn will affect the many functions of your body. So that's fat and the role of leptins. And there are many more. I'm sorry, I cannot just discuss everything regardless of the time that we are able to spend on this video. But enough to say that definitely leptin has been found to have multi-roles in health, in growth and development, and even in reproduction. Okay? So I guess that would be enough information for you now. For now, just think that while it is difficult to understand all of the roles of leptin, it is enough to say and to understand that definitely leptin will have a big effect on your health, reproduction, on your growth and development. So, I think we've come to the end of this video. Maybe in the next videos I will touch on a little bit about, from time to time I will be touching on the roles of leptin that I have not discussed now, so that you will be enlightened more. And I hope you still have the patience to listen to me, because there's still a wide range of information that I want you to understand. And so at this point, I think I have to end this video. But then before we end up, I would like to thank everyone who patronized my channel, those who gave their likes, those who shared the videos so far. Now we have 4 videos, and that is outside of the introductory video that I made. So this is the 5th. And although you have given me your likes and shares, I still think that the subscription is lacking. So please help me maintain this channel. Let's increase the viewership. Let's increase the subscription, so that we have some hopes for the continuation of this type of a blog. So again, thank you very much. I hope to see you in the next video, and I don't know what topic I will be presenting next time, but definitely you expect that there is a follow-up on the discussion about leptins. So again, let me part with you in this way. You need to enjoy your life, enjoy your friends, and most of all, enjoy your food. So good day, and see you in the next video.